Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
I'm a bit concerned about your bracket. I'd like to point out to you that USC, UCLA, Washington, and Cal Northridge are not in the tournament. Despite what you filled out, there's also Seton Hall's in the NIT, not in the tournament.
Figured that was the easiest route to embarrassment without embarrassing myself and just filling out the bracket.
I think it's just worse putting in teams that aren't there.
I don't know. They probably have a better chance than the ones I put in there that are there.
Oof. Padres beat the Dodgers 15-11 today. Yamamoto gave up 5 runs in the opening inning in his major league debut. And Ohtani fired his interpreter. There's massive theft alleged. There's gambling, and it's just ugly. And again, this is something that over the years, look, his job was a necessary job because Ohtani can speak English. Ohtani understands English, but he is exponentially more comfortable answering questions in Japanese. So his interpreter, right, was vital to what he was doing. Okay. But there's so many times that we're seeing over and over again where the entourage gets the player in trouble. Over and over again, the hangers-on. Now, this guy had a job, I got it. But the hangers-on, more often than not, get the player in trouble. And so that's going to be, a story moving forward, but it doesn't seem to have much to do with Ohtani, except Ohtani paid him.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there are financial transactions, but that's part of being essentially an employee. So I mean, that's no big deal.
Yeah. If it were Ohtani, obviously, the one thing for those listening to keep in mind, gambling in California is still illegal, betting. Right. But he did. By the looks of it, he had nothing to do with it.
Right. Aside
from paying.
Mike Rhodes is going to meet with the media at 11:30. Yesterday, Demetrius Lilly put his name into the transfer portal. And that's probably, we all know that's not going to be the end of it.
Yeah.
But that's... it's that time of the year. I mean, it's just everything is in flux at this time of the year. That's why Dick Girardi and I were talking about the NIT. If the NCAA tournament were to go to 76 or 80, would this be the end of the NIT? And I said, Dick, you have teams opting out right now. I said, who's to say that a team accepts and players opt out? I'd rather just put my name in the transfer portal, get going with my life. I'd rather just opt and go through the NBA draft process, whatever. And they don't want to play in the NIT. I mean, it's not just a team opting out.
Right.
St. John's opted out, Indiana opted out, Pitt opted out. And it's not just teams opting out. It's a distinct possibility of players opting out. First time I ever saw that happen was Colorado. Years ago, had a player opt out of the NIT to enter the NBA draft, and by the way, didn't play a single second in the NBA. And I was like, what are you doing? I remember when it happened. I was like, what are you doing? But this is where you are with that player opted out. I think he opted out of the NIT before Leonard Fournette and Christian McCaffrey did it in football. So he was actually the first guy I ever heard to do that. I sat back and went, what? What are you doing? And he wasn't an NBA player. He was a good player. He was their leading scorer. But he opted out of the NIT. Well, of course, we now know, McCaffrey and Fournette started this trend of opting out of bowl games, right? And then getting the populace to start, a certain segment. Oh, they're meaningless exhibition games. They are not meaningless exhibition games. It's a game. Okay? It's a game. Guess what? Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean anything. What do you think? They're playing touch football out there? We're playing flag football? Okay? That's a meaningless game. Okay? Where somebody's like belting you?
Mm-hmm. It means something.
It's going after you? No, it means something. Okay. And Jeff Byers is checking in from Kansas City, where the NCAA wrestling tournament will get underway today. I assume, does Penn State have anybody wrestling early today? I don't think they are, right? Because I don't know how.
When do the at-larges go? Does Starachi go a little earlier? That would be the
Imagine being the number one seed in that group.
Yeah. Having to draw them in round two.
Right, round two. You're like going, what did I do wrong here? Right? All right, I thought I was supposed to have an easy path in. Now, you have to take the attitude of like, hey, I get past this guy. I'm home free.
Yeah.
But the NCAA Wrestling Championships get underway in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center.
I believe they'll be in the city of brotherly love next year, I think.
Is it in Philly?
I believe
cool.
so.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's exciting. So day one starts at noon, pigtail bouts. It's supposed to go till 3:30 Eastern time. Then session 2 begins at 7 o'clock Eastern time, goes to 10:30. And, of course, Jeff Byers will be on the call for all of this. And then I hope he gets a lot of sleep after that.
He's the best.
Braden Davis will face the winner of Tristan Lujan and Tristan Iwan and Mike Joyce. Nagao is a 10 seed. Davis is a 1 seed. Nagao is a 10 at 133. Gets Marlon Yarborough of Virginia. Bo Bartlett, who's a 2, gets number 31, Kai Owen of Colorado. Ty Kasich is 149. Gets Jaden Abbas from Stanford, who's the 26. Levi Haynes gets the winner of Nick Stampoulos and Isaac Wilcox. Mitchell Messenbrink's a 2 at 165. How the heck is he a 2? Mm-hmm. He gets Max Mayfield of Northwestern. Carter Starachi gets Andrew Sparks of Minnesota. Sparks is like, really? Really? This is what I get round one. Bernie Truax is a 6. He gets Cameron Pine of Clarion. And Aaron Brooks is 1 at 197. He gets either Evan Bates of Northwestern or John Crawford of Franklin and Marshall. And Greg Kerfleet is number 1 at 285. He gets either Jordan Greer of Ohio University or Nick Willem of Indiana. And the team record, by the way, for points is 170. I'd say the odds of Penn State having anybody in the consolations after today, I think may still be long.
Yeah.
After today.
Uh-huh.
Now, tomorrow, different story. All right. But, yeah. And last night, Colorado won. Didn't shoot well. Boise didn't shoot well. But it was still a good game. And then Grambling rallied and won in overtime and beat Montana State. I mean, 2 good games last night. They were good games, close. And those teams moved, both the winners last night went to Indianapolis. Well, the other group went to Charlotte, I think, on Tuesday, so they had to fly. These guys are busing. It's just 2 hours from Dayton to Indy. And that is where it stands. Football will be back on the practice field later today. And one of the great stories, of course, is Long Beach State. Dan Munson, former Minnesota head coach, so he's coached in the Jordan Center several times. Gets up yesterday and says, "I really don't have to answer any questions." He says, "I'm just kind of sitting here for free." He compared what he's doing because he got fired. They had a 5-game losing streak to close the regular season. Yeah. They fire him on Monday before the Big West tournament, and then he wins the Big West tournament. So he's still coaching. Yep. And he said he compared what he's doing to George Costanza when Costanza was trying to get himself fired with the Yankees, and the Yankees wouldn't get rid of him. He kept trying to get fired, as only Costanza can. And he says, "I really don't have to answer any questions." He says, "I'm kind of just sitting up here for free." He's had a good sense of humor about it. Yeah, I don't know what he wants to do after this, but I don't know if they get out of the first round or not.
I don't know if this is sense of humor or bitterness. The Wi-Fi. I guess I could give the Wi-Fi password for the folks. And if you're not in Utah by now to cover March Madness, I don't think you're going there. But the Wi-Fi password, Jordan pushed off.
Oh, really? Oh, in Utah, Jordan pushed off. Russell.
That's a good one.
Jordan pushed off. That's the Wi-Fi password.
Wireless network, Jordan pushed off.
Wow. It's so bitter.
I was thinking that too.
It's very, very bitter. But yeah, that's... Well, so you have wrestling starting today in Kansas City. You have basketball everywhere, because today you'll have 16 games. 16 games.
Yeah, there's not much to compare to the day 1 and 2 of the tournament. There really isn't. Geez, they're just
believe me, I love being there.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Michigan State's playing Mississippi State. That's the lead game at 12:15. Duquesne BYU is at 12:40. Now the Michigan State-Mississippi State game is on CBS. Duquesne BYU is on True TV. Then at 1:30 it's Akron-Creighton. That's on TNT. Then it's Long Beach State with Dan Munson against Arizona on TBS at 2 o'clock. Wagner plays North Carolina at 2:45. That's on CBS. Morehead State plays Illinois in the matchup of two teams that Penn State beat this year. That's on True TV. I mean, it beat them both. Yeah. They only played Illinois once, beat Morehead State once, beat them. Oregon plays South Carolina. That's in Pittsburgh. That's it on TNT at 4. Nevada and Dayton, TBS, that is at 4:30. Colorado State, which of course won on Tuesday night, plays Texas at 6:50. Okay. So now we made the transition to the night games. Oakland is against Kentucky on CBS.
How about that?
Right. But again, notice who they're putting. Notice what they're doing on CBS. Notice what they're doing on CBS. Mm-hmm. They have put on North Carolina, Michigan State, and Kentucky.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. Okay. There's a quote, method to their madness.
Of course.
McNeese State plays Gonzaga. That is on TBS. South Dakota State plays Iowa State. That's on True TV. That's at 7:35. St. Peter's in Tennessee at 9:20. Okay, that will be on TNT. Then the final CBS game of the day is NC State and Texas Tech. That's at 9:40. Samford is against Kansas at 9:55. And the last game of the day is Drake. No, the Drake. Against Washington State.
There it is.
At 10:05. That is on True TV. That's at 10:05 tonight.
And I echo your sentiments of yesterday. This will be the only 2 days of the year I watch. Well, no, maybe 3 or 4 days of the year I watch True TV.
That's what I said. That's what I said yesterday. I haven't watched True TV in a year.
I don't know. I haven't either.
When's the last time I watched? Oh, wait a minute. I do know the last time I watched, yeah.
Former colleague Eric Thomas, one of the probably as big of a Kentucky fan as the Judds.
Yeah.
And they are in he moved to Pittsburgh this year.
Yeah.
So here's the chance for him to go, except state championships are this weekend. He's covered them.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's been some talk, obviously, a lot of talk about expanding the NCAA tournament. John Calipari slammed it. He said in Pittsburgh.
A couple people have slammed it.
Yeah, they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're discussing, it sounds like 76 is the number they're looking at. They don't want to go beyond 80. And he says, I hope it stays where it is, Calipari said. I know people get mad. They get mad at the committee. You won't believe this. I've been mad at that committee a few times. But you have to be mad because your seed or where you're shipped to. But it doesn't matter who the committee is. We're all going to get upset. Okay, yeah, I understand that. Now, he's going back, obviously, to Pittsburgh. And he says, this is a business trip for me, and I'll say everybody that's in this thing, I would say, they'd say the same thing. Keep it where it is. Don't mess with something that's great. Okay? Now, Greg Kampe has coached for 40 seasons at Oakland, and he echoed the sentiment about going up to 80. He says, this is the holy grail for mid-majors, right? It is. And I've said this many times over the last week. The NCAA basketball tournament, please don't change it. Please don't change it. But it's one of the 3 greatest sporting events in the world. They say that Pete Thamel reported that one consequence of expanding the field and revamping the qualification and bid process could be fewer mid-major teams making the tournament's main draw. The inclusion of more Power 5 programs could mean teams from smaller one-bid conferences have to win their way into the main bracket through playing games similar to the tournament's current first 4 format, reducing the possibility of Cinderella teams making deep runs. Making the argument, Kampe spoke about the magic of the underdog and cited Jimmy Chitwood. He's not a real person.
I didn't think so.
I know he's playing Bobby Plump, but still. All right. And, of course, Milan winning. What the heck are they called in Hickory in the movie? Hickory?
Hickory.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kampe said he would support expanding the tournament if it helps smaller programs like Oakland make the field. If that's the only way we're going to stay in it, then I'm for it. What I'm saying is don't keep us out. What makes this tournament is the little guy. Why does everybody love Hoosiers? Okay, the first weekend, that's what everybody loves.
That's what everybody loves, absolutely.
Okay? The second weekend, they do not love you anymore.
No.
What channel's Kentucky on? Yeah. Where's the Duke game? It's getting serious now. Kevin Keats, though, of NC State, said tournament expansion would benefit players from programs of all sizes. He says, I think there should be some expansion. I think it's too many student athletes that they do not get the opportunity to play postseason. When you look at football, they don't have that issue. It's because of the bowl games. Uh-huh. You look at a bowl game, and if you're 500, you're in. And the experience, we talk about the student athlete experience, and the only thing that really, in my opinion, has not changed is expanding the tournament. I don't have a number. I don't know what it should be, but I do think we should have more schools and give them more opportunities. Look, here's the bottom line on that. I was just talking about the NIT earlier. And the NIT is the equivalent of going to the Frisco Bowl. Okay, the NIT is the equivalent of going to the Military Bowl. All right, they're minor bowl games. Maybe you can maybe give it like more of an Outback Bowl, Citrus Bowl, Gator Bowl. Like that kind of bowl game. Like the CBI would be more like a military bowl, Frisco Bowl. So like it's so a Holiday Bowl, Alamo Bowl, right? Really good bowl game to go to. That's the NIT. But when you look at, as I said with the NIT earlier, it's not just teams this year that opted out. St. John's, Indiana, Pitt opting out. I think it would get to the point with the NIT, if you keep the NCAA at 68, you'd have players opting out. All right? And it's not, like I said, the first player to opt out of postseason is not Christian McCaffrey or Leonard Fournette. I can't remember the name of the guard at Colorado who opted out of the NIT and went to the NBA draft. And what year it was. I mean, I think it was like maybe, I don't know how long, 10 years ago? Who knows?
It was a little bit ago, yeah, because it was.
Right, but he opted out of the NIT. He wouldn't play. And, I mean, what's to say that, hey, the heck with this, let's pick Indiana just because they opted out as a team. Well, what's to have kept Khalil Ware, for example? Hey, look, you know what? I'm going to go to the NBA Combine. I ought to concentrate on doing that. I mean, what's to say he wouldn't do that? Yeah. Right? Or Malik Renew looking around saying, you know what, I'm going to end up transferring here. I'm not going to. You know what I mean? I'm just using those as examples. I'm not saying that, we don't know because as a team they opted out. Expanding the tournament is the same thing with expanding the college football playoff. I would be shocked if somebody opted out of the college football playoff as a player.
Oh, yeah, playoff, completely.
Yeah. Now, would I be shocked if somebody who doesn't play opted out? Maybe not. But somebody that actually plays,
yeah,
I'd be shocked. Same thing with the NCAA tournament. The guys are not opting out of this.
No, you have a chance to win a championship.
So if you add 8 teams, 7 more games, all right?
They're not really changing the structure either. I mean, you're not going to change the structure of the days. You're going to have,
right?
You're still going to have the field of 64 starting when the field of 64 starts, I think. Or are they not going to do that?
I don't know. It sounds to me like they could take 65 through 76, 12 teams, 6 games.
Yeah, and just have them Tuesday, Wednesday.
And well, when it's done, though,
unless you do the field, you can do a field of 68 on Thursday.
But if you do 76, you got to play at 12, right? But you'd have 6 winners.
That's true.
All right, and the 6 winners goes to 70.
Yeah.
Right. You got to, it's got to go deeper than that to get it to 64. Because right now you're at 68, and you play 4 games to get down to 64. So you'd have to play, 8 games to get it down to, actually 12 games to get it down to 64, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Take a while.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, you look at, for example, at the end in a field of 76, at the end was Ohio State an NCAA tournament team? Probably.
Yep.
Right? At the end was Iowa. We can debate it. They would have been close. Indiana would be saying, look what we did. Like, oh, yeah, I saw what you did against Nebraska. I was very impressed. You can debate it.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's going to be, and it's a point you made yesterday or the day before. College football playoff expands to 14. Team number 15 is going to be complaining. College football basketball expands to 76. Team number 77 is going to be saying something.
Absolutely.
So that's no matter how far you expand it, you're always going to have teams that are going to complain. But I think, to me, especially college football playoff, a prime example, there are so many times we've seen teams get hot at the right time. We've seen teams win their conference and not go to the college football playoff when you get the feeling that team could have beaten one of the even argue the champion.
Oh, sure. Penn State
Penn
was in that spot in 2016,
absolutely.
won 9 games in a row. I mean, I don't think they would have been a threat. I'm sure they would have. All right, Joe Lunardi. All right. He just picked 67 out of the 68 in the field. Imagine if he goes to 76, it's going to be even more work. He's the best. I've known Joe, I don't know, 35 years at least.
That's awesome.
At least I've known him for 35 years, but had a chance to talk with him.